Well, good afternoon, everybody. It is an immense privilege to welcome you to this special 50th AGM meeting of the Britain Tanzania Society and the Tanzania Development Trust. So it's half a century since our founding in 1975, and we're, of course, especially honoured to begin this new chapter under the leadership of our new president, former President Jakaya Kikwete. And so we have here Janet, TDT chair, we have myself. We are opening to connect this vibrant community that we have across Britain, Tanzania, and beyond. If I may, before we go into what will hopefully be a couple of short addresses from the High Commissioners by video, I'll just give a couple of opening remarks. One thing is that we thinking about 50 years, we honor a visionary foresight of our founders. That includes, for those of you who've been involved for a long time, Bishop Trevor Huddleston, the Honourable Amon Nzekela, and of course Roger Carter. And we built on this since this time on a really unique, non-political and non-governmental foundation, which is ever important as the relationship between our two countries continues to develop and prosper. This rather deliberate stance, I think, has allowed us as BTS to maintain bridges of friendship even during periods as we have today, when formal diplomatic relationships have sometimes tense and when our nations have faced challenges. So I think that the role of the society is ever more important. And while we move towards a future collaboration, one less about development, perhaps in some ways, or aid, and more about trade and economic evolution overall, nonetheless, the aid aspects remain important. And at our core, we do really remain a rich tapestry of people-to-people connections and a very important cultural exchange. And so we meet today, January 2026, somewhat later than our usual end of year schedule, as a result of some challenging circumstances surrounding the recent elections in Tanzania. So we decided to delay slightly. I'm sure everyone will understand. Nonetheless, the spirit of Umoja ni Nguvu, unity is strength, remains our guiding light, as reminding us that our collective commitment transcends the political. Now, we've got a couple of addresses, a video address from both Mbelwa Kairuki, and then from Marianne Young. So, Janet, do you have those videos to hand? Can we start with the short address from His Excellency Mbelwa Kairuki, the Tanzanian High Commissioner to the UK?
On behalf of Tanzania High Commission, I would like to extend my sincere greetings to the 50th Annual General Meeting of BTS. I would have very much wished to be part of this meeting, but due to other commitments outside the UK, I couldn't be with you. But let me wish you all the best as you embark on deliberations on issues of importance to the society, but also to the UK-Tanzania bilateral relations. I'm looking forward to engaging BTS in the coming year, in 2026, and I hope we will have a chance to organize events that will involve members from Tanzania and others in the UK. I thank you so much and wish you all the best.
Thanks for doing that, Janet. Next, we have a video address from Her Excellency Marianne Young, the British High Commissioner to Tanzania.
Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for inviting me to speak at the 50th Annual General Meeting of the Britain Tanzania Society and Tanzania Development Trust. This is a significant milestone, and I'm delighted to be able to celebrate organisations that serve as important bridges between our countries and peoples, helping to expand cultural, educational, scientific and community connections between the UK and Tanzania. For 50 years, the Britain Tanzania Society and the Tanzania Development Trust have strengthened people-to-people ties and delivered hundreds of grassroots projects, from expanding education and clean water access to supporting local livelihoods. Together, their volunteer-driven work has touched nearly 1 million lives, reaching remote communities, empowering girls, and bringing sustainable development to rural Tanzania. I'm therefore honoured to have the opportunity to share some remarks with you today, and I apologise for not being able to join you live as I'm attending a long-standing business engagement in Dar es Salaam this evening. Recent months have been difficult for many Tanzanians given the unprecedented violence and loss of lives that occurred after the elections in October. I was able to pass on condolences for these losses from the British government directly to Her Excellency President Samia Suluhu Hassan at her annual Sherry Party in Dodoma earlier this month. We continue to follow developments closely and look forward to seeing clear accountability and an inclusive dialogue process resulting from the Commission of Inquiry that the international community has been asked to give space to. The United Kingdom remains committed to strong relations with the United Republic of Tanzania and has continued engaging frankly and constructively, as good friends do, at various levels during recent months. We value the regular updates that we've received on government action being taken and trust that the recently announced Truth and Reconciliation process will help address some of the underlying challenges that led to the unrest and provide much needed space for inclusive engagement across all sectors of Tanzania's society. This includes key groups like civil society, faith leaders and the opposition, and most importantly, with the country's burgeoning youth population. This will be essential to rebuild national unity and Tanzania's international reputation, as well as to help regain investor and tourist confidence, which has been shaken by events. The UK remains committed to supporting human development, inclusive growth and environmental issues in Tanzania, and looks forward to continuing our work to address shared challenges like climate change and develop mutual commercial and trade opportunities. This is an important opportunity to recognise that UK partnership activity in Tanzania continues to deliver real, measurable successes. Firstly, our climate cooperation has become a major area of strength. UK-backed programmes have supported off-grid energy projects, helped to provide thousands of clean cookers, including to schools, and mobilised new climate finance to strengthen resilience for farmers and coastal communities. Secondly, we've made significant progress on economic growth and investment. Through the UK-Tanzania Mutual Prosperity Partnership, we've helped mobilise over $70 million of investment into Tanzanian businesses to help drive job creation and advanced a £373 million UK export financed infrastructure project. Our support to trade and logistics has cut export times dramatically and boosted farmers' access to the UK and EU markets. And I know my fellow Balozi, Tanzanian High Commissioner to the UK, His Excellency Mbelwa Kairuki, present with you here tonight, is especially proud of the success of our Horticulture Export Accelerator Programme, HEAP. And I was delighted to meet some of the beneficiaries on my recent field trip to Iringa last week. Thirdly, we're seeing real impact in human development too, particularly in education and health. The Shule Bora programme is improving teaching quality across 8 regions, and the UK support has helped ensure that new teachers are now allocated based on need. In health, our family planning programmes have provided assistance to thousands of women and girls and helped introduce disability-inclusive services across the country. Fourthly, our security partnership is helping deliver concrete results too. UK cooperation with Tanzanian agencies has contributed to major seizures of illicit drugs, strengthened counter-terrorism capacity, and helped recover significant criminal assets. Tanzania's removal from the FATF grey list reflects the progress made in anti-money laundering systems with UK support. And fifthly, UK humanitarian assistance has helped sustain essential services for over 200,000 refugees, and our backing for the National Social Protection Programme is helping more than 5 million vulnerable Tanzanians meet basic needs. And last year we also saw significant growth in tourist numbers from the UK, which is now one of the top 5 contributors to tourist footfall in Tanzania, with over 80,000 visitors a year. And we hope that can continue. Finally, in my role, I've enjoyed proactive regional outreach, having just returned from a trip to Iringa, where I was able to engage with UK-linked businesses and members of Iringa's long-standing British community, from farmers to tourism operators, who all help strengthen connections and share updates with them on UK priorities and acknowledge their contributions to the local economy and communities. Our consular work continues to support many Brits living, working and visiting the country, with recent outreach programmes focusing on Arusha and Zanzibar. So taken together, these successes show that the UK continues to be dedicated to impactful progress in Tanzania on sustainable growth, human development, climate environmental issues, and strengthening our business and people links. And I look forward to deepening this further. As we look ahead, it is clear that the government of Tanzania's response to the recent challenges will play a decisive role in shaping the future of our partnership. The steps taken in the coming weeks and months will influence the shape of our bilateral engagement, but also Tanzania's wider international relationships and economic prospects. The UK sincerely hopes to see progress that restores confidence, strengthens accountability, and reaffirms the values that underpin stable, prosperous societies. But let me finish on a point of reassurance. The United Kingdom has a strong presence here, and we remain committed and dedicated to working with Tanzania on the priorities that matter most to both our peoples. We firmly believe that Tanzania's success is our shared success, and we remain ready to work together for the mutual benefit of both our nations. Thank you very much. Asanteni sana.
Thanks for sharing that, Janet. As we've heard, those of you who just joined, we've just been hearing from, first of all, His Excellency Mbelewa Kairuki, and then just now, as you will have heard, we heard from Her Excellency Marianne Young, British High Commissioner to Tanzania, on reflections and work that has been going on between our two nations, between our governments. I would now like to go into the agenda item on obituaries. It's important to remember, of course, as we celebrate our 50th year, we must also pause to remember the members of our community who have, of course, passed away since our last gathering. As many will know, we lost Jennifer Sharp, our dedicated newsletter editor, who supported our work with great efficiency and wit and humour, who passed away rather suddenly in March 2025 after an illness. We also remember David Bruin, former vice president, who died in December 2025. 24, sorry, at the age of 97. David edited Tanzanian Affairs for 32 years, shaping it into this authoritative resource that it is today. And it's important to add that his commitment has continued through a generous £10,000 bequest from his will, 5,000 to sustain the magazine's production, and 5,000 to essentially upgrade our technology, our capacity to outreach to a younger demographic. So we are honoured to receive that £10,000 to BTS. We also acknowledge the passing, of course, of Dame Jane Goodall. While she was a global icon, she was a long-time friend of Tanzania. whose conservation work deeply aligned with our values, a friend of many of us. She was a friend to the society and known to some of us personally. We honor Cleopa Msuya, the former vice president and prime minister of Tanzania, who passed away in early 2025 and was instrumental in guiding the nation's economic reforms. And finally, we recognize other BTS members, friends of the society who've left us this year. Their contributions to that friendship between our nations have been immeasurable in their own personal ways. So we remember them. And now I would like to give a quick update on BTS over the last year. We're talking the 2024 to 2025 period and a little bit of a look ahead to where we are. I think really just to say, I don't want to say a huge amount. I think we've had some very good contributions just now from, in particular, from the videos, and I would like to just reflect a little bit on what we've achieved and where we're going. The resilience of our society really is due to the dedicated individuals, to you as individuals, whether that's in BTS, TDT, Tanzanian affairs, any aspect of our society. It's really your resilience, your support, your capacity, your creativity, your humor, everything that comes into it, your finances at times. It's up to you as dedicated individuals involved, and right through our last 50 years that makes the society what it is. We are, of course, honoured with our new to have a new president, Jakaya Kikwete, who stepped in at the last AGM following the loss to old age of Ali Hassan Mwinyi. And I think that's a significant new era for us as a society as we enter our second half century. We're privileged to have the continued wisdom of our vice presidents, Julian Marcus, who's made 14 visits to Tanzania, medical pioneer Professor Esther Mwai Campbell, and educationalist Andrew Coulson. And of course, as I briefly mentioned before, we recognize founding figures, founding fathers, if you like, who set us on this path. Trevor Huddleston, Amon Nzakela, Roger Carter, John Malakela, Derek Ingram, Jerome Kasembe, Bernard Bunsen, and Nasser Malik, amongst others. But also, in the moment, we also have key people to the society I want to just acknowledge. We also have, of course, Janet Chapman and all the trustees of TDT. In Tanzania, we have our Tanzania chapter, including Cuthbert Kimambo, the chair, and Jacqueline Quecker, the secretary, amongst others. I think the really important thing for us to do now is for us to continue our online and physical events in both countries, to continue to boost membership, to continue with the outreach of Tanzanian Affairs, which as a magazine I get told about, people understand it. People really appreciate in both our nations and beyond the reach of that in terms of what we're able to understand and sort of contextualize about what's going on in an objective way. I think many people appreciate it. So we want to continue that. We want to continue our events in particular, and I think any support that you have as members and friends of BTS and TDT, please come to us on that aspect. I don't know whether we are going to be joined by Ben Taylor today. He is he's caught up on a train, so I think I might just give you a very quick overview of where we are with regards to Tanzanian affairs in particular. It's basically that we continue to produce 3 issues a year. We now do them in February, June, and October, which you probably picked up before. It's just a lot easier for us in terms of school holidays and everything else. In the last issue, we have obviously covered the process around the last elections in the run up to them in politics, but in the next issue we will be covering the most recent elections. Beyond politics, we've also been looking at the Development Vision 2050, the climate, change situation that Marianne Young picked up in her remarks. The Linde LNG plant challenges. We've also looked at supporting successes, World Athletics Championships. We continue to do our book review. Martin Walsh in particular has been a real asset to that, continues to be. That's super popular in Tanzanian affairs, covering everything from memoirs of a jailed journalist through to photographic collections on Tanzania history, a huge reach across. And as ever, we endeavour to maintain our strong commitment to objectivity, to balance and truth. So past issues are available at Tanzanian Affairs. But as I mentioned a few minutes ago, we've got some funds from David Byrne's estate, and we would really like to make the most of to continue to spread the importance of Tanzanian affairs, but also to reach a younger audience. So those of you that would like to help with that, help Ben and I, please do help the team. Please reach out to me or Ben directly in due course, but we are keen to continue with that. So I've covered a lot, and I don't want you to just be listening to me ramble on. So I think I would like to now pass on to Janet, because there's a whole segment around TDT which we will now hear from. So over to you, Janet. Thank you.
Thank you. I have shared the whole of our annual report in the chat. If you haven't seen it previously, then please do have a look at it. We're really proud of the work that we've done over the last year. And thank you for everyone who supported us in any way this year, and also for Wendy for actually putting this together. So last year we funded 107 core projects, which for an entirely volunteer-run charity I think is amazing, with a total of around £250,000 and benefiting over 110,000 people across Tanzania. So I think that's absolutely amazing. And as the High Commissioner said, this is not aid, this is solidarity in action. This was at our very successful 50th birthday celebrations on probably the hottest day of the year in London last year. So as many of you already know, we have three priorities. Water, which is still a huge issue across very much of rural Tanzania. So this is predominantly putting in boreholes, village boreholes, and you'll hear from Benedicto soon about the amazing work that he's doing on that. And last year we funded 22 of these low-cost boreholes, as well as some more commercial, deeper ones, and 32 spring improvement sites, and also rainwater harvesting and irrigation. And this is a really cost-effective way to make a huge difference to a whole community. It costs only £1,500 to put in a borehole, and I'm sure Benedicto can say more about that later and also answer any questions if people have them. Our big fundraising thing of the year was the Big Give, which we do every year, always for water. And thank you to everyone, particularly to the people who pledged so that we could raise match funding to bring in donations. We managed to raise over £21,000, the biggest ever. So thank you to everyone who supported us on that. Our third priority is education, and this year we supported 13 schools with hostels, technology and school farms. Roby Samueli is here. Some of you heard briefly from her earlier. So she still runs 2 safe houses. And we recognise that giving girls an education is a really massive way to improve development and so on. One of the other flagship projects is Matambule and Kigwe. I think certainly Brian, the treasurer, is on the call and can answer any questions. I'm not sure if Patrick, our local rep in Dodoma, is as well. So this is an amazing project that teaches vocational training to deaf students in Dodoma, and we're also supporting a local primary school again for deaf students. And thank you. We had a big issue a few weeks ago because there were many deaf students who were unable to start school because their parents could not afford the modest amount to get them there. So thank you to everybody who supported that recently and got those children able to start school. Because for these deaf children, it's not just about learning the general things that people learn in school. Without going to school, they don't learn Tanzanian Sign Language, so they are unable to communicate at all with the rest of the community. So it's absolutely vital. And so here is one of the students that we've managed to support. So income generation is our third pillar that we support. So last year we funded 13 small income generating projects. And so they are designed to be sustainable, but also boost self-confidence, resilience amongst the whole community. And there's a lot more detail about this in our full annual report, which I've shared. Benedicto, who you'll hear from shortly, has been teaching a large number of local youth entrepreneurship. This is one of them, Phoebe. And this is already making a massive difference to that very rural community in Zeze, Kigoma, and I'm sure he can tell you more. So really, I would just like to say again, thank you to everyone who supported us. All of our volunteers, our volunteer local reps in the areas of Tanzania where we operate, without whom we could do nothing, and also to generous donors like many on this call, so that are helping us to make these huge impacts in Tanzania. Thank you. And if people have any questions, then please do put them in the chat and I will attempt to answer them. And I believe it is Benedicto next. So Benedicto, if you'd like to introduce yourself, and I will get your slides up shortly.
Thank you, Janet, and congratulations for our TDT team for a wonderful job which has been done by TDT as presented by Janet. My name is Benedicto Hosea from Tanzania. I am the founder director of Mboni ya Vijana and the Tanzania Development Trust local representative for Kigoma Rural since 2015. Yeah, I'm very delighted to be part of this TDT and the BTS annual general meeting today. And would like to thank you all for donating to Mboni ya Vijana, to drill boreholes or to build a water facility in Tanzania through the 2025 Big Give. Thank you very much for that support you have been providing to us. As you most know about Tanzania, we have been deeply working with communities in rural areas where they are less accessing to government services as compared to what service provided to people in urban. So your donations and your support you have been doing to us has been causing a lot of impact to the children in schools where we have drilled and built boreholes. As you can see on the first image, pupils celebrating the first water drops at their school. We have been supporting as well girls and women, young people, both women and boys, in small businesses and chicken keeping. We have also been supporting young people and the women in improve the sustainable farming, as well as we have been involved in environmental management by planting trees and making biochar, which is a best way of improving the degraded soil to keep it moist and fertile. As Janet presented on the TDT impact, we have been bringing together the young people who dropped from schools, I mean from the formal education, and bring them together, train them in entrepreneurship and the sustainable farming, so that we can help them overcome the poverty issue and improve the ways they have to raise their hope toward sustainable development. So, as you see on the pictures, I know we have a lot of things to share, but because we are here to share, in brief, this is what we can share, but I would like to welcome you for the question and other recommendations. Thank you.
Do you want to talk about your next goals or not?
Yeah, that is very important. As we know, for over 11 years, Mboni ya Vijana has been working as a community-based organization. However, it has done a great job, drilling more than 200 boreholes in 12 years. So in March 2025, we registered into a non-governmental organizations, and now we are setting up the object that we wanted to achieve in the next 5 years from 2026 and 2030. So as you see on the slide here, we are expecting it to drill and build 120 water wells by 2030. We wanted to train and empower the rural communities. 15,000 youth and women will be, we are hoping to reach that objective. As well, environment and the climate change is still a challenge in most of our area. So we want to plant more trees, 2.5 million, and make more than 500 tons of biochar other biomass. The aim is to make sure that the land, the environment is protected and improved. We have already impacted the community by increasing crop yields by more than 150%. But the issue is how to market them, how to keep the farmer benefiting from the products. So we have been witnessed the loss of crops after harvesting. So we wanted to establish 3 important factories that will be used for crop value addition and make those products marketable, as to increase the food security, at the same time improving the income to the households, especially those involved in farming. As well, we want to have a strong team that will be enablers to deliver our goals, our services to the clients, as we expect it to reach 4 regions now, with namely Kigoma region, Katavi region, Tabora region, and Mpanda, and in Sumbawanga, Lukwa region. So with these goals, we hope and expecting that you will be cooperating with us, as you have been with us since our beginning in 2014. I appreciate very much your continued cooperation with Tanzania and Britain. This is how we have been building together. Thank you very much for everyone who supported us and we keep aiming on your support for them. Thank you.
Thank you, Benedicto. And if people have any questions or comments, please do put them in the chat. So we were really delighted to welcome Benedicto to the UK last April. He was sponsored by Seagull Family Foundation to come to the School World Forum, which was fantastic. And many of you may also remember meeting Benedicto at the BTS and TDT AGM in, I think, 2008, wasn't it, Benedicto? Yeah.
Yeah, 2018, yes, was.
2018. Okay, yeah. Thank you. So please, Benedicto is doing amazing work. Please do have a look and ask any questions. So I think next we're going on to Ezekiel. Ezekiel,
Sorry, Janet, there's a very quick question from David. Can Benedicto give an example of a food factory adding value to food crops?
Yeah, one of the things that we want to do is we have been engaged in cassava production, and cassava in Tanzania often are harvested during the dry season because as they grow bigger in the rain season, they do not dry. So we wanted to build a machine that can help chipping into slicing that can dry quickly even in the rain season. So no cassava product can be lost. And at the same time, we want to build the solar dryer facility that will be enabling the small farmers to dry cassava even in the rain season, so that no more cassava can be wasted because of rainfall. That is on the section of agriculture. As well, also, in addition to that, why we need this, many buyers do not buy cassava which have got like molds internal the root. During the drying cassava, if it's bigger, it builds some molds inside, which is stress cyanide that being developed in the cassava, reducing it from selling to the buyers. So this factory will enable manage the quality of cassava, but reduce the loss of those products after being harvested. But I can chat more and can write more information and share them to Janet and then share it internally.
You can share them in the chat, but I can share any links via people who registered on Eventbrite afterwards as well. Okay.
Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you. All right. So next up is Ezekiel. Ezekiel, I thought we could just show the short video first, if that's okay.
That's okay.
Thank you. So we had a wonderful social media volunteer called Betty, who tragically died last year, aged 21, and her parents visited Tumaini a couple of weeks ago, and they made this video of their visit.
Jambo, this is Betty's parents, and we're here at the School for Young Mothers in Western Tanzania.
This is already done? Yeah.
This school has been established by an amazing guy called Ezekiel Kasanga, and we think this fantastic project is well worth your incredible support. In particular, you can see this tank behind us that's been built. It's going to be for water harvesting, and along with a second tank, it is going to hold 160,000 litres of rainwater. This water will be filtered and treated for drinking water for the pupils and the staff here, and it will also be used for washing, for growing crops and watering animals, making this an incredible, sustainable method of providing water during the dry months here in Tanzania. So we thank you from the bottom of our hearts for your generous support to this really worthwhile project.
Thank you. Ezekiel, do you want to start talking and I'll find your presentation?
Thank you. Hi, everyone. I'm Ezekiel Kasanga, the founder and the director of Tumaini Open School here in Tabora, Tanzania. And I'm also a local representative for TDT, local representative for Tabora and the Simiyu, the two regions. I would like to share a brief snapshot of the Tumaini School project. And today, actually, I want to just in very brief to share the milestones of where we were in 2020 at the time we commenced the project to where we are today. And I would say Tumaini Open School project started at a time when these young mothers were not given a chance to get back to their formal schools. And the alternative pathway centers for young mothers were very limited, and most of them were not accessible to most of the girls who needed them. So in that regard, Tumaini started with the commitment to help these young mothers. And what we did, we started in a hired living room, as you can see on the presentation. We started that way. And later on, in 2020, we started the project because we responded to this gap with the conviction and the compassion. And we started anyway, I would say. And what I want to share today actually is a key milestone. As you have seen on the presentation, we started in 2020, but today Tumaini School is an established institution, learning institution. And this has been built through strong partnership and shared commitment. With the vital support from stakeholders, particularly TDT, we have been able now actually to have a school, I would say. As you can see, now we have 6 classrooms, well finished and furnished with the essential furnitures. And we have resources like books. And as you can see, our girls are enjoying being in nice classrooms with the good teachers. And as you can see this picture, we also engage our students in community sensitization, and we do work or partner with the local and international media. For instance, you can see this picture is when the BBC visited our school for their Niambie program, which is aired out through Crowds Media. And we were able actually to enable the girls to air out their voices. And through that, we have been able to attract more girls to join our school. As you can see, our girls also are doing a practical in science. With regards to the enrollment, for instance, in this year, as of today, I would say we have about 75 girls who have been enrolled. And over 90% of these girls are coming from rural areas of Tabora, with the others joining from the neighboring regions, including Katavi, Kigoma, Geita, Mwanza, and Shinyanga. And this represents a significant increase from 57 last year to 70 something I have mentioned this year, and from about 30 in 2024. As you can see, the Tumaini population now is big. And in brief, I would like also to share the academic progress and the national exams results. And I will say today it is a very big day because the National Form 4 exam results have been released, and we have 2 Division 1, we have 1 Division 2, and we have 8 Division 3, we have 6 Division 4, and very unfortunately we have 1 failure. So we have 1 Division 0. We had a total number of 18 girls who did their Form 4 national exam last year, and the results is how I have shared. And with regards to the Form 4, we had 10 last year, and they have all passed to Form 3 this year. And here, as you can see, this was the day of graduation. And apart from that, for instance, in 2025, also I would like to share about the way we enhanced the practical science learning. Design 1 room to be a main science lab for biology, chemistry, and physics. And this facility allows our students to conduct experiments on site, because in the previous, we had an agreement with the nearby government school where we used to send our girls for practical learning. But this time around, with our main library, they have been able to do the practicals. As you can see on the slide, these are some of the chemicals and the apparatus we have. And as you can see, the girls have been able to do practicals and practical experiments in their science. And with regards to extracurricular activities, especially for the year 2025, we were able actually to enhance those activities with the introduction of sports and games, including netball. So we have the netball facilities, we have volleyball, and we have table tennis, as well as the traditional dances. And with the entrepreneurship, we do engage our students in gardening, as you can see on the slide, where they do gardening. They are able to produce veg for their own consumption. And as you can see, they are also having the table tennis, and they do like also, as you can see, that is our netball ground, and they have their own jerseys. So during the evening time, they do also engage in those extracurricular activities. Currently, I would say we have several ongoing projects. The first one is what Janet has shared, the video. We are finalizing the construction of 2 concrete water tanks, which will be able to, with the capacity of about 100,040 capacity, and this will be used to harvest rainwater during the rain season. And these 2 tanks will be used for backup, whereby we'll be filling them with the water from the municipal. And apart from that, also we are having a chemistry and biology lab construction, which is underway, and we hope to finish it maybe by June or July. And lastly, we have completed to this stage, as you can see on the slide, the second dormitory, which can accommodate up to 56 girls. So together with the oldie one, the capacity of the school now is about 120. So all those girls can stay at the school, and this is because we don't have the day students. Yeah, so this is what I wanted to share with you. And honestly, I would like to thank TDT for their invaluable support. And as we are in the 5th AGM of TDT and the BTS, I want to say that what you are seeing or what I have presented is reflecting the great impact that BTS and the TDT has been doing for these so many years in supporting and helping the Tanzanian community. So I thank you very much, and I do welcome you to ask a question if you have any. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ezekiel. And please, if anybody has any questions for Ezekiel, please also put them in the chat. And I'd just like to say again, thank you so much for everyone who has supported TDT over the last 50 years. Thank you.
Okay, well, if there's nothing further at this point, I think it would be good to enter the formal AGM, and then if there's time at the end in AOB, we can have a discussion depending on how much time we've got left. Thank you so much, Janet and Benedicto and Ezekiel, for those wonderful presentations and updates. In terms of the AOB, many of you are familiar, sorry, the AGM itself, rather, many of you are familiar with this process, so we don't like to take too long on it. So the first question is, hopefully those of you who've seen the minutes of the last AGM, that I did just send them round just prior, but they have previously been circulated some time ago. If we're able to just approve those minutes of the 49th, or whether any matters arising from those minutes, then that would be great, everyone. Any comments or anything? Approval? Thank you, Willie. Thank you, Janet. I think we are good to go, as you say. Thanks, David. So that the minutes of the 49th were approved. I would now like to go into annual reports and to accounts for both BTS and for TDT, starting with BTS. May I ask our esteemed Honourable Treasurer, Jeremy Lefroy, to just tell us about the accounts very briefly, previously circulated in the annual report that I've circulated several times prior to this meeting, that's on the website alongside the TDT report. So Jeremy, if you could just tell us where we are in terms of those last accounts, please, before we for those formal approval of those.
Thanks very much, Paul, and thanks to everybody for the support of TDT and BTS. I think everybody will have seen the accounts in the meeting papers, and my grateful thanks to Clive Ashton, who I think is on this call, who did an independent examination of them. You'll see that our income was steady in terms of subscriptions. It was a lot lower in terms of donations. It's principally because last year, 23-24, we had an extremely generous one-off donation. I'll come back to the question of subscriptions in a moment. In terms of expenditure, because of timing differences, we only had the costs of 2 newsletters and TAs going in the financial year 24-25. The event costs related to a couple of events held, one of which was obviously the 50th anniversary, and another being the visit of our new President, His Excellency Jakaya Kikwete, to London. We were able to make grants to the Tanzanian Development Trust of £2,000. The net result was a small deficit of £203, and leaving us with assets at the end of the year of just over £3,000, which is roughly where we want to be because we don't have substantial commitments other than the cost of the newsletter and any events that we put on. My suggestion is that we retain the subscriptions at the current £25 for single or joint. In many ways, I would like to put them up a little bit. The problem is that almost everybody's on standing order, and for everybody to change a standing order at once is a huge effort, both on the part of the person changing the standing order and on the treasurer and the membership secretary. So my proposal is, given that we are covering our costs at the moment, we keep it at £25, but I would encourage anybody who would like to give a bit more to do so when they send their subscription in, and we count that as donations. And whenever possible, if the donations and membership exceed the commitments that we have and the balance of about £3,000 we want to keep in the account, then we make donations to TDT. Obviously, in many ways, it's better to make donations directly to TDT if you want to make a substantial donation, because of they are a charity and we are not. But as I say, my proposal is firstly that the accounts be adopted as examined, and secondly that subscription for the next year remains at £25. Whether we're going to be able to keep it that way much longer, I don't know, but at least we keep it as we have done for the last 10 or so years. Back to you, Paul, for questions and any comments. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Jeremy. Very succinct, very clear as ever. Are there any concerns or issues with Jeremy's proposals, or can we go forward with them, particularly in terms of the membership price? Janet, agreed. David, great. Okay, so fine. We will go forward with those suggestions. Thank you, Jeremy.
I mean, as you mentioned, Paul, there has been this most generous donation to BTS, which currently is obviously not reflected in the year under consideration. It'll be in this coming year, and we've put it in a deposit account because clearly it's for specific uses. Thank you.
Yes, indeed, it's targeted particularly for Tanzanian affairs. Absolutely, thank you. So I move for approval then of the BTS accounts, as has just been stated. And now, if I may, could I just turn to the approval of TDT annual report and accounts? So that would be Janet and Brian, I think. Thanks, Jeremy.
Yes, so I've shared the annual report and accounts. Hopefully there aren't any questions. I know Brian is on the call, but he's in Tanzania and I'm not sure that he's able to talk. So I would just move that we approve them unless there are any objections.
Approval from me. Anyone to second that?
I think Willie.
Good. Thank you, Willie. David, great. Okay, wonderful. So move for the approval of the TDT report and accounts. So that those aspects now covered. Thank you. Now to the question of appointment of independent examiners. We need to move to appoint our independent examiners, who, as Jeremy has said, have done incredible jobs over this last year and previous years. So Jeremy, do you want to just come back in and talk about the independent examiner for us, please, for BTS, and then we'll talk about for TDT?
Well, as I say, Clive Ashton, who is a member and is, I think, is on this call, has very kindly done it for the past 3 years, I think, at least. It would obviously, I can't really. It's entirely up to Clive whether he feels he can do it again. I'd welcome it, but if he feels he's done enough, he's done more than enough, and I'll look for somebody else. But I'll leave that decision up to Clive. But I would very much recommend him. If not, then I'll come back to a future committee meeting and recommend somebody else if Clive feels he's done enough.
Okay. Janet, can you discuss the TDT aspect?
I believe that we wish to keep the same independent examiner as that we had this year. I don't know that they're on the line, and I don't know if Brian is able to say anything.
Well, in the same case, perhaps we can just confirm that afterwards when we do the minutes.
Okay.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you both.
Thank you.
So we've moved through in good time of the formal business. I would like to go and talk about AOB. There's a couple of things I want to bring up. Firstly, we've heard a couple of times about the legacy from David Bruin. We're very keen to, and I talked to Ben, who's unfortunately traveling today, but we are very keen to try and improve the outreach of Tanzanian affairs. We do get such fantastic feedback from it, and it's for what it's, given that it's produced voluntarily. Ben is just currently bringing together the most recent issue, which will be, I'm sure, very fascinating given what's gone on of late, and we will try as ever to paint a very objective view of events. And he works with a whole team of people in the UK and Tanzania, really informing those different sections of the newspaper, if you like, of the journal. So if there are people who are willing to help support Tanzanian affairs, including in the publication work, which I tend to do and is quite time consuming, and that would be always appreciated further support with, but also in that area that I talked to David Bruin's family about, which is the legacy piece, which is about how to take it forward to the younger generation. And if there are people who whether you know people in your circles in the UK and Tanzania who would like to be involved in that, particularly from the younger generations than many of us, I think that would be welcome. And again, I think if you could reach out to me, Janet, any of us, and let us know how you might be involved, that would be wonderful. Similarly, with events generally, as Janet mentioned, the June event we had, that was great fun, very hot but great, and we had this two parts to it, and it was good fun, and we do like to get together physically when we can. We've also been able to host Kikwete and Minister Combo in the last year, and had some very good dialogues and so on. So if you have ideas for events that you would like to propose, if you would like to help us, if you can help us regularly on events, again, this would be very much welcome, because we're a volunteer society and charity, and we really need as much support as possible to make things work. I would now, if I may, welcome our former BTS chair, William Fulton, to share an idea, and put it that way, with you for our 50th year, which then would be grateful if you can let Willie and I know about bilaterally once you've heard what he has to say. So Willie, over to you.
Right. Yes. Well, 50 years is quite an achievement for the society, and I think it'd be really appropriate for us to acknowledge this in a physical way by presenting some lasting commemoration of our 50 years to both High Commissions and High Commissioners. And we propose, therefore, to get two pictures which will be a lasting legacy of demonstrate our 50 years, and present these to the two High Commissioners. Now, I don't want to say too much about the pictures, because I understand we've got representatives from the two High Commissions here, but to keep it more of a surprise, I'll say no more about them. But if anyone would like to know more about the pictures, please contact either Paul or Janet or Jeremy or me, and I'm very happy to share that. Now, what we don't want is for this to be a burden on the cost of them on the society. Rather, we'd much rather members contribute something towards the cost of the pictures. We need to raise around about £1,700 to cover the cost of the two. But as I say, if you would like to contribute, please contact again either Paul or Jeremy or me, and we can take it from there. But if you'd like to know more, again, please contact us, and I can send you a couple of A4 sheets, which will show pictures of to show them the pictures and more details of how you can contribute.
Thank you so much, Willie. So yes, please do let us know. These are we don't want to give too much away because they're rather nice, and we want to keep the element of surprise, which I think is hopefully good. So please don't tell your High Commissioners, though, for those who are in the emissions.
Could I also say that the plan would be to when Marianne Young is next back in the UK, which I think won't be until June, July time, that we hold a reception in London and present the pictures to the two High Commissioners.
And Jeremy, would you like to mention, because I didn't mention it amongst the various events, the meetings in Kiel and outside London?
Yes, I've been thinking for some time that High Commissioners and ambassadors don't get much opportunity to travel outside London, and if they do, they don't necessarily see the things that would interest them. So I organised I think it was last May or June, an event for His Excellency and Belwa Kairuki and staff to come to Staffordshire, and took them to General Electric's factories in Stafford, which are world beating. They're basically the world leading in high voltage direct current. They have an order book which is full up to about 2030, because high voltage direct current is so important these days for transmitting power over long distances, particularly with renewables. We also took them to a company in Stone that makes insulation out of sheep's wool, which is very useful for packaging pharmacy and medicines, particularly vaccines, and also foodstuffs, keeping them cool for long periods of time. And I also took them to a large manufacturer of agricultural equipment in Stoke-on-Trent, which makes everything from trailers to plows to harrows and more, and lots of different kinds of equipment. And we had, on the evening between the 2 days of the visit, we had a dinner in Kiel University in the hall, which Paul and others kindly came to, and the reaction was very positive, and I'm hoping to do a similar thing. But I would encourage others to think of inviting High Commissioner and team out to other parts of the UK, and organising visits, as I say, particularly with local businesses that have that they will be interested in. I'm trying to organise a visit this year to Rolls-Royce in Derby, because clearly they have there's a lot going on there. Not only the aero engines, which Air Tanzania does use now, some of them, and the power equipment, but I'm hoping that there will be other businesses, possibly JCB, which is quite a substantial player in the Tanzanian market, which is nearby in Roaster in Staffordshire. So, as I say, I think it would be nice for them to see other parts of the country, and if anybody wants to organise a visit, please do get in touch with Paul. I'm certainly happy to help in so far as I can. Thank you.
Super. Thanks so much, Jeremy. I would like to offer a little bit of time now. I mean, for me, we've largely covered everything that we set out to in the agenda. It's been very efficient. Thank you all. So for me, it's an opportunity now for us to, if there's anything you would like to discuss, anything you'd like to bring up, when we can try and unmute you, we can have a short discussion. The context really is that, you know, we've been around for 50 years, both as a society and our charity. and this really has been informed by the sheer joy of connecting with each other in those different points of our lives over that long period of time, and there's very many different people along the way. And it's really been around friendship, and that's a choice we make. But it's really been around also been around the support, and the support in particular, the financial support that we've been able to provide to TDT in particular, and which we really, as Janet has said, really encourage those of you that are in a position to do so to continue as we go. And even though, as I said at the beginning, that we're seeing a shift more from internationally from trade away from aid, which is probably a very good thing for the relationship in the big picture. The support that TDT, as Anna, you kindly said earlier, is very, very important still in that relationship, with that being able to donate to very specific and targeted areas and out in the field in areas that really need it is very important to us. We don't have anything else for the meeting today. What I want to do is just give you an opportunity, if everyone wants to just say anything, please feel free to do so. We've got a few minutes to do so. Go ahead, Anna.
Thank you, Janet. Can everyone hear me?
Yes.
Great. Well, good evening, everyone. Just to say it's a pleasure to be here. As I said earlier on, I've just arrived last year from Rwanda, where I was for 4.5 years, and before that, Sudan. So I've been in Africa for quite a long time, and was in DFID before FCDO, so been in sort of development for the last 23 years. Really delighted to be here. And I suppose just to say briefly off the back of your comments, Paul, because the High Commissioner has already given you very extensive comments. But just to say that, of course, trade and economic growth and partnership and investment is certainly a growing part of the agenda for many countries, and for the bilateral discussions between many countries. But I think we're all aware that's really, for that to be successful, it's really reliant on human capital, on people living healthy lives, having the skills to engage in the economy, and for the benefits of that trade to be spread across both countries that are involved. And I think what we're really seeing is that given all of the changes in global events, and gosh, we thought last year was quite tricky for those of us working in development, but this year looks set to be just as challenging and interesting with global events. But I think what they really underline is the real importance of partnership working and building strong, long-lasting partnerships based on a shared commitment to real impact and change at a local level. And it's been really delightful to be with you here today and see some real world impacts that you're having across the country. And I think completely progress on access to water, on education for all, is something that's only going to benefit Tanzania and the UK as we go forward. I think from a British High Commission perspective, as I say, Marianne's very well kind of summarised what we're focused on in terms of, yes, economic growth, climate change, but also increasingly peer-to-peer learning and sharing of expertise in particular sectors, including health and education. And that as we look ahead, and as the development landscape changes to one of more partnerships and sort of greater cooperation and perhaps smaller aid flows, I think it's just all the more valuable that we're all talking to each other, learning from projects that are going on, learning best practice and sharing. It would very much not in competition, but in collaboration. So just to say thank you for having me here today, and I really look forward to meeting some of you in person in the coming months and years.
Thank you, Anna. Very much appreciated. Wonderful. Well, everybody, I think we can let you out early. I think we're complete. So great work, team.